In 2006, the United States government decided to build a 700-mile fence along the 2,000-mile border between Mexico. The type of fencing that extends from California to Texas varies according to the terrain and the population of the areas it borders, according to images released by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The types of fencing includes wire mesh, chain link, post and rail, sheet piling, concrete barriers for vehicles, and X-shaped steel beams for livestock. Under the Secure Fence Act, the pedestrian border fencing completed in fiscal year 2007 was estimated to cost about $2.8 million per mile. It was constructed using mostly the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the National Guard. The fencing constructed in fiscal year 2008, which mostly used private contractors, cost about $3.9 million per mile. According to the Congressional Research Service, in 2009, they estimated that the double-layer fencing would cost an estimated $16.4 million to $70 million per mile over 25 years, depending on the amount of damage sustained. Border Patrol already employs a digital wall composed of about 8,000 cameras, which monitor the southern fence and ports of entry. Its resources also include more than 11,000 underground centers, 107 aircrafts, 8 drones, 175 mobile surveillance units, and 84 boats. My name is Mitzi Anguiano, and the following are the thoughts about the border wall from native El Pasoans, students, and government employees.
I think that the border represents something that the United States is built off of, immigration, and how we're very similar and that we're one. I think that building a higher wall is nothing more than a nuisance because it's not going to prevent immigration. It's not going to prevent drugs from coming into the United States. It's not going to prevent anything that Mr. Trump says that it will. Positive impacts of the border is definitely sharing a culture, definitely get different experiences on the border, having different people, and I think that it brings diversity into the United States, and that's what the United States is. The purpose of the border for me is to give people an opportunity if they want to come to the United States. I have a lot of friends who live in Mexico and they come to school here, and they're contributing to society more than some citizens that I know. I approve of the border. I think that it kind of creates a barrier, but sometimes barriers do have to be there, but I think that it's something that people can overcome.
It's necessary to have something to draw the line between two countries, but I do not believe a physical man-made border, like the one in place now, is right. I believe it simply represents the separation of the U.S. from a third world country on all levels. I do not approve of the current border because I do not personally believe in a physical border. I believe the impacts are negative because it creates a divide in people. I don't think we need to build any form of a higher or greater border. I have visited the south of the border many times. I recently have stopped visiting just because my job does give me great insight to the level of crime and violence. The purpose is basically to keep the U.S. separate. The current border system is working pretty well.
What do I think of the wall? I think it's a good idea. It's just another way of securing our nation. I'm not opposed to anyone coming in. I am not anti-immigration. I'm for immigration just as long as it's done legally. I don't know, the size, if it should be, how tall it should be, how wide it should be, because my experience in the military, if there's a will, there's a way. So it doesn't matter how big, how thick, how tall. If people want to get across, they're going to find a way. For positive, I think it shows that we take our nation's security and immigration seriously. For me, it's hard to look at it from a negative standpoint because I'm an American. I'm not a Hispanic, so I can't see it negatively. I do approve of the border wall. Is it working? I think it will eventually. Fortunately, since we that live on the border, we know it's okay. We can go over there anytime. But my family, that lives in Pennsylvania and Western Virginia, they're border, and they're afraid that I'm going to get shot walking around.
I think the border is a very unique location, and by that I mean geographically and and culturally. I think that the border has so much to offer as far as our everyday experiences and to the world, both economically and culturally. Unfortunately, it represents a lot of division. The wall would not alleviate nor stop any illegal immigration to the US. I don't think we fully understand both sides, and without understanding the other side, how could we make policies that prevent people from migrate that are looking for a better lifestyle? Both sides of our border together, it has a lot of potential, but right now it brings a lot of sadness.